It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at a new roll and write game called Harvest Dice. In this one, players are going to be drafting dice and using them to plant different vegetables in their garden, or if they're not able to do that, then feeding those things to the piggy and making points that way. So you're trying to manage a few different things in the game, but it is a very simple, straightforward design. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll come back and talk about whether I think it's a good roll and write game, and if it adds anything interesting to the genre. Here we go. So here's what you get with the game. You are going to get the pencils, the dice, star player, piggy marker there, and then 2 pads of sheets. You're going to get the standard ones, the basic ones, and then these for an advanced variant of the game. So I'm going to put these aside for now, not really going to go over that. Just be aware it's a couple of minor changes to the basic formula here. Everyone gets one of these, and you are then ready to begin. Pick a star player, everyone gets a pencil, good to go. So the rounds go like this, all right? Actually, before I do that, let me tell you how you score and how you win the game. So highest score obviously is going to win the game. You are going to be populating this area right here, the garden, with the 3 kinds of vegetables. You're going to be planting carrots, lettuce, and tomatoes in there. And you are going to get victory points at the end of the game for each of them based on the multiplier down here, their value at market, okay? You are also going to get victory points if you complete an entire row filled in with different vegetables. It doesn't matter what's in there. As long as it's filled up, you're going to get 5 victory points for each of those. And then also a little piggy bonus depending on how many of these circles you filled in, okay? And the number's right there next to the line, how many points you get. So, the game itself. The star player is going to take all the dice. They're going to roll all the dice, and you are going to take one. Whatever you take, you are going to then fill in, if you are able to, in your garden here. The color of the dice is the vegetable. The number is where you must place it. So, for example, let's say I take this 5, and this is lettuce. I could put it here, here, or here at the beginning of the game. And so let's say I want to put it right here in the middle. I would draw that little lettuce right there, and then I just keep the die. And the next player would go, they might take this one, the next player might go and take that, comes back around to me. I could take this lettuce, and the reason I can play it, and the way you have to play more vegetables after the first one, which can go anywhere, is it has to be orthogonally adjacent to any other ones of that kind. So this is okay, because I could put it right there, right next to that other lettuce. However, if I take this one, I cannot place it. And if you ever take a die that you cannot place, instead, you feed it to the pig, and you are going to mark in these little spots over here, as many as the pips on the die you took. All right? So, but instead of doing that, let's say I want to take this one here, which is a carrot. I put the carrot in 6. I'm going to put that carrot right here, like so. Oh, it's adorable. And this continues around until all the dice are taken but one. One die will not be taken, okay? And whichever one is not taken, let's say it's that one there, then we are going to mark one of these spaces here in the market, and that means that those are now slightly more valuable at the end of the game. Right now, if the game ended right now, each tomato would be worth 1 point. The lettuce, each lettuce would be worth 2, and carrots 1 each, all right? As I said, if you ever take a die and you cannot place it, so let's go back to our example. Let's say I took that later on and I cannot play it next to the other lettuce, then I would mark 2 of these little spaces over here. And that does 2 things. It's going to increase my score if I complete the whole line. I start on the next one, but I lock in the score on the side here. And I trigger a little piggy power, which allows me, if I cross out that piggy power, to change a die's face up or down 1, all right? So later on, if I draft this same die, I could make it a 3 if I wanted to. That's basically it. You are going to continue until someone has completely filled this in, or one of the 3 kinds of vegetables is completely powered up. It's as expensive as it'll get at 6. Or someone completes all of the piggy spots, and then you add up your score. I'm going to show you one of my previous boards here. So in this case, this is how the game ended. It ended because another player completed this, not myself. And then we scored at that point. So my score is right here. I got 20 points for the carrots because I have 5 of them drawn in. Each one's 4 points, 20. Okay, the lettuce, I got 16 for that, same deal. And then I got 30 for the tomatoes. Those were at 5 each. I also got 10 victory points for completing these 2 rows. And I got 8 victory points because I completed the first 4 lines here in the piggy area, giving me 8 victory points right there. The next line, be aware, I started on it, but did not complete it, so I don't get those points. That's basically it. That was my total score. It was a losing score, but that's okay. And that's how the game works. So let's go back up top, and let me tell you what I think of it and how it feels while you're playing. All right, so there it is, Harvest Dice right next to Happy Pigs there. Oh, Happy Pigs. Let's talk about it a little bit. I'm going to start with thematic ties. I think the theme is cute. It's the planting idea of, planting the different vegetables, feeding your little piglet the leftover stuff that you can now plant. That's all cute. It works fine. It kind of helps you teach, so I'll give it props for that, The idea of having to plant your vegetables next to each other, I could see that, okay? So I like that. The theme here is very nice, and it leads to the aesthetics, which are also very well done. The player sheets look good. Cover of the game is nice. The artwork is nice. Dice are clear, makes sense. And then the fact that when you fill in things on your little board, you're actually drawing the little vegetable. You could do whatever you want, but they encourage you to draw the little vegetable adds to the aesthetics as well. So while they're very simple and there's not a lot of artwork in this game, I think what is there is good. Replayability and scalability. The scalability is fine. I think it works well with different numbers of players. The replayability, I think, is okay. The games tend to play out in pretty much the same way, okay? And you are going to, for example, usually what ends up happening is the vegetable multipliers even out. So that's one thing that sounded really exciting the first time I read the rules, but in reality, usually they sort of even out because people are taking from the center the ones that are worth more points now, leaving the one die out there to be the one that people don't want, in turn making that one 1 point more expensive, right? So it all sort of starts to even out. You'll get tomatoes to run out to an early lead with 3, a multiplier of 3, and then people take tomatoes, so it'll never be the one that's left, which means it stops going up until the other 2 things kind of catch up. Therefore, for that main reason, I think the replayability is not extraordinary. Having said that, we do have the other board, the other player sheets for the variant, which I did not really go into, but it gives you a few new things. Things like, okay, now you can use the pig power to change not just the pips, but the color. So you can make one die into a different vegetable. Okay, cool. And there's a few other things like that. So I enjoy, and I'm glad that they included both ways to play right in the box. Game length is fine. It's not the shortest roll and write game out there, right? And I could see it being a little long maybe if you're hoping for like a quick burst of roll and write fun. This one's a little more, not thoughtful, but it's a little more deliberate maybe, okay? It kind of takes its time to develop a little bit. But it does not outstay its welcome. At least I haven't felt that way. But if you are looking for, again, the super filler roll and write, this is not necessarily it. The ease of play, which includes fiddliness, if there's any weird design choices, things like that, I don't see any. I don't think the game is fiddly. It's very easy to play and teach. It's very easy to understand what's going on, how to manage things. There was one thing I wish they would have clarified in the rule book as far as, can I use one of my piggy bonuses to change a die into something I now cannot place and then feed it to the pig again, right? I'm not sure if that's not in there. I couldn't figure that out. And so when we played, one of the games we played, someone said, okay, well, this 5 lettuce I could place, but if I change it into a 6 lettuce, I can't place it anymore. And then can I feed it to the pig? I guess. It kind of sounds a little iffy, but so there's that. You know, I wish they would have clarified that. It can certainly be something that could happen and the players will think of doing. Other than that, though, the game is a clean design. And it's not fiddly, it works well. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and luck. The luck is not as prevalent because you are drafting the dice. You're not rolling your own, so I like that very much. Star player is going to change around the table, so you will get to draw from a bigger pool shortly. And then being last is also great because you get to decide of the 2 dice that are left, which one you leave behind to increase the multiplier on the vegetables. And I like that, you know, having that power as well, very much. And so the tactics are there. Responding to how things are evolving, that's there. Focusing on one thing or another, that's interesting. The whole thing works well together. Now, it's not revolutionary, right? That's the thing. And unfortunately, it's just about in the middle of the pack between the lighter, quicker burst of fun kind of roll and writes, like Quicks or Quinto or that kind of game, and the heavier, more thinky roll and writes. You know, like a Castles of Burgundy, the dice game, the roll and write game, or St. Malo maybe, okay? Doesn't have that much going on. It's not that deep, but it's not, you know, it's sort of in this nebulous area in the middle. Is that bad? No, it's not bad. But unfortunately, it's also not particularly distinct either. So while I'm not saying I don't enjoy the game. I like it. I think it's got a cute theme. It's got a nice play style. It works well. Mechanisms here are clever and they're neat, if not necessarily original, right? The game also does not necessarily stand out from a kind of crowded genre right now. So, having said that, I like it. I am going to give it a seal of approval, but with the caveat that, you know, if you have a bajillion of these kinds of games and it's, you know, a style that you are sort of good with, this one's not necessarily going to give you anything brand new you haven't seen. But I do recommend it. It's a nice little game. So check it out. That has been Harvest Dice.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.